All right. Good evening. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hi, sir.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. So today, we'll be looking into overloading, scope, and writing clean code. So gradually, we're entering into C sharp. Yeah, like I posted on the channel. All we have been doing is foundational knowledge and all. So we are gradually entering into C sharp has to do with OOP, object-oriented programming and all. So we need to start learning some basic clean code principle and method, scope and all. We need to have an idea of what that is. So today we will look into, I was not supposed to, okay, all right. We'll just have a recap of what we did last class. Then we'll look into method overloading has to do with same name and different implementations. Then we also look into how it works with example, and we'll look into variable scope. What does scope really mean in programming? Yeah. Then best practice naming convention, single responsibility principle, and method comment, like method comments, but we will not handle this method comment in our class today. That would be when we dive into OOP. So we get to understand that clearly, right? So far in our section one, we on methods and functions, right? We learned methods for reusability. Then we also made them flexible, like what we did in our last class that had to do with introduction to the usage of parameters and return values, right? So today we are going to explore more features of what we can do with methods, right? And how to make our code even cleaner. All right, so method overloading, what does it really mean? Like method overloading, like if you remember in our last class, I made mention of it's possible for um it's possible to have more than one method that has the same name, right? I made mention of that in our last class. But what will tell the difference is the number of parameters they take, right? The number of parameters they take, and also the return type, the return value it's going to return. So those are the two differences that would distinguish between one method and the other. So we can have methods that have the same name, right? But what we tell is the parameters and the return value. Meanwhile, when creating your variables, you can't have more than one of the same variable name. Is that clear? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. Let me see who is in this meeting. All right, Samuel Precious, Ede Deligwe. Okay, so the other latecomers, in case they ask me question, I'll know. All right, so variable scope within methods would also look into that method overloading and how it works, right? So return type alone is not enough to overload a method. The parameter must be different. Like I said, two things that would distinguish two similar method names is the return type and also the parameters, which must be different. So if they have the same method name and they have the same parameter and they return the same value, then it's not going to work because all are the same, right? So an example is different data types and different number of parameters. So all this, I didn't want to put the example here. So when we go into our demo, everything will become clearer, right? Let's go into variable scope. Where does your data live, right? So we have heard of um, method. We know how to create a method, right? So how we create a method is this. I'll just go to my whiteboard to explain that part. Can you see my whiteboard?
Not yet.
All right, let me make it visible. Mhm. All right, how about now?
Yes.
All right, great.
Yes.
So what does it mean when someone say variable scope? So variable scope, what comes to your mind? We have two kind of variable scope. We have the global scope and local scope, right? Or we call it global variable and local variable. So what does these two things, what do they mean, right? So I will talk about the local scope, local variable and all. So we are used to creating our method where we have the access modifier. So assuming this portion is containing the implementations, right? The name of this method is method A, right? So we have another method. We can have numerous more than one methods as the project demands, right? So this is method B, right? So what does it mean when they say local scope, local variable? So what it means is anything you do here, right? We can have this, we can have this, we can have the main class. The main class is called the program class. Remember in the first class, I talked about that. The main class is where your coding enters the starting program, which is your main function, right? So all these smaller functions here are within the main function where your program starts. So this is the main function, and within this main function, we have method A and method B. So local scope, what does it mean? Now we are familiar with creating a variable, like we can have a variable int num equal to 5, right? We can have int num2 equal to 10. So we do whatever implemented and whatever we want to do, then return a value, right? We have variable here, num and num2. So local means whatever you do here, this variable that you have declared and initialized here, it cannot be used outside. So meaning if I've defined this method that does this implementation and I try to call num, I want to console or print out num, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Why? Because the variable you have created is local to this method. Are we getting it? Hello?
Say it's local to the what?
It is local to this method. It is inside the method body. Anything you create, any variable you create is for this method. It's not for the outside stuff, right? So same thing applies to B. We have method A, we have method B. Like I said, if this doesn't make sense, when we go into demo section, it's going to make sense. We'll see the errors as it displays, right? We have method B that has maybe string name. Don't mind my handwriting, no. String name equals to gift, right? This is method B. If I want to console log, now I'm trying to print out outside of the method, I'm trying to print out name. Normally in our head, when we want to print out name, it's supposed to give us gift, but C# is going to flag an error. Why? Why?
Okay, you said when you define a variable, right, and
Yes.
assign a value to it, gift, and the you want to print the name that you assign to that variable. Is console dots right line, then open and closing
Okay.
brackets, then
All right. The question now is, don't worry, don't worry. I understand. It's okay. All right. The question now is, I'm talking about we have local scope and we have global. When you hear local, what does it mean? Scope, variable. What comes to your mind when you hear the word local? Hmm? Can you answer? Who wants to answer? What comes to your mind when you hear the word local? Is someone hearing me?
So local can mean within a limited environment.
Thank you. Then how about global?
Uh, a like large environment.
A large environment that can even cover across the local community, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So you can see local as your village community, right? So whatever you do, like no one is going to see it except they come into your community to see what you're actually doing, right? So your community can be seen as a local community where everything you do is done locally. But global has to do with globally means whatever that is seen globally can also be used in your community. I don't know if you get what I mean. Do we get it? Like it's available for everyone. When you hear the word global, it means everyone, both international or locally or your small community. It's everywhere. While locally is pertaining to a section of a community or a place. Do we get it? Are we good?
That's all good.
Yes.
Great. So when we talk of local variable, we are used to creating method. We all know how to create a method. And in our last class, we created a method, and inside the method body, this is the method body. We have the method name. Then, yeah, this is the method body. This is the method body. Everything we do here is just this one here. Everything here is this part here. Whatever we do here. So I'm saying any variable you create, if I create a variable A, if I want to come outside of this method A and I want to console or print variable A, it's not going to work. Why? Hmm?
Because the variable is limited to the method at about defining.
Good. It is local to the method A, right? So that variable A is a local variable. Do we get it now? Who is confused? I'm trying to be slow. Is anyone still confused? You don't need to pity me. I can go over it again. Are you still confused? The gift, are you good?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So that is it with local variable. Now, global variable now, global scope. What does that mean? It means if I initialize a variable or anything I do, if I do it outside, this is the main method. It's a global space, right? If I declare a variable, say, um, int m equal to 5, int m equal to 5, the gives answer this. Can I in this method A try to print out this m? Will it work? Let me see who is sharper. Eh? Gift, you don't run. Hello. Just answer so your mind dey.
Sir, sorry. What do you say? I'm hearing my name.
What are you doing?
Okay, I'm
Are
trying to
you
shift.
distracted?
No. Network is bad.
Oh, sorry. I get it. So I have a variable outside. I've declared a variable outside of the method, right? Now I want to print out this variable m inside this method A. This method A, I want to print out variable m here. Will it work? Will it not work?
I think you call the variable name inside the method.
So I'm asking, will it work? And if it will work, tell me why. If it will not work, tell me why it will not work.
Okay, let me just try. Calling the variable name inside the method, you are trying to like it's kind of when you have a static void that you created classes different places and you are now calling those method inside your static void, trying to tell the the program or the static void that's hey, look at this and print out the output.
Okay, so have you answered my question?
Yes,
So will it work?
yes, that's
Why
the
will it
yes.
work? Why will it work?
Because it's kind of you created a variable in another place and you now call the variable name inside your main method.
What is that called? I'm looking for the right word. What is the name of the
Um,
variable?
it's called um,
All right, thank you. Who can help her? Who can tell me why it will work and why it will not work? Hmm? Hello, who wants to go? Precious, tell me why.
It will actually work because it's a global variable. A global variable can be accessed
Thank you.
via the program.
So this is my main method. This is my main method, the main program where everything must pass through this main method, right? Your program starts from the main method. So inside this main method, I can have this method or this method inside. I can have this method. This is method A, this is method B, and this is method C. So I can decide to maybe create a variable called A equal to 5. I can decide to create a variable in this B, maybe C equal to 3. Then I can decide to create a variable M equal to 4. Then I can decide to create a variable R equal to 6. If I want to print A, the value of A, I want to console this variable of A here. Will it work? The gift, will it work?
Yes, because
Hmm?
yes.
Don't worry. You are still confused. Don't worry, when we go into demo part, yeah. Deligwe, answer. I want to print this variable A in method B.
No, it will not work.
It won't work because
It's a local variable.
A is local to method A. And
Yes.
because A is within method A, no other method outside, anything outside, if Precious here, maybe Precious lives here, their gift lives here. This is their gift, this is Gift's house. This is Precious house, right? Anything you do here, anything you do in Gift's house, whatever you do here, nobody can see it. That's what I'm trying to say. Nobody can access it, right? Same thing here. If this is a Deligwe's house, if he decides to maybe give S equal to 4, Precious gift whoever this is, they can't access the variable here because this is local to C, is local to this person, right? Anything you do here is local to this person. So if I'm trying to access M that is inside another person's house, it will not work because this M is local to this. Gift, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Yes, sir.
But then that is local variable, right? Now, global is, what if I declare a variable outside, say Z equal to 100, Z equal to 100. I declare a variable outside, like this is the main, I'm declaring this variable outside. If I want to print out Z in method A, will it work? Hmm? Gift, will it work?
Yes, because should I go
Because,
ahead?
go ahead.
Okay. Because you declare the variable outside the method, like this gives
What is the name of the variable? Is it a local or a global variable?
is a global.
Then any variable name you declare here, what is it called? Is it a global or a local?
Is a global.
A variable name you declare within a method, is
No,
it a
is it a
global?
local? No, local.
All right, thank you. You all will bear me witness. So in case in 2 weeks' time now, I ask Gift this same question, if she fails, uh anything I do, don't blame me. Oh. All right, let's go ahead. So that is that with local scope, global scope, and all variables declared inside a method are local to that method. They can only be used within the method from the point they are declared. They are created when the method starts and destroyed when the method finishes. Okay. Now, naming conventions, right? Naming conventions. Good names make your code much easier and easier to read and understandable, right? So like I told you guys, when you are giving your method a name, you should use Pascal case, right? Pascal case. Our example is calculate area, get username, display name, and all. Then the parameters, your parameters where you have that is within the parentheses, you have to use camel case. That is start with a small letter and like that. So example is username, total amount, message text, and so forth and so forth. And also, your method name should be descriptive. Yeah. Whatever method, whatever name you give your method has to be descriptive. So if you are asked to write a program that adds two number and I give my method name do or solve it, does that make sense? Maybe the name of my method name is solve it, and I'm asked to write a program that adds two number. I'm giving my name, solve it. Does that make sense? Is that descriptive enough? Hmm?
No,
Hello? Hmm?
no.
I didn't hear you. What did you say, Deligwe?
I
Is
said,
that it's not descriptive, right?
no.
Exactly. It's not descriptive. So it has your method name has to tell what you're actually doing. So if you are giving a task to write a program that adds two number, you can just give your method name. addition or add, right? We'd understand that, hey, this is actually adding numbers, okay? So avoid single letters as much as possible, right? Avoid single letters. Maybe you are trying to give a variable name, right? You use A and B. It doesn't make sense because and there'll be a time when you write a code and in 10 years time, you go back to that same code and you'll be confused because the variable you gave did not describe the purpose of what that variable is actually doing, right? So add two numbers, it means I need two numbers, right? I need a variable that will store these two numbers. So it's not going to make sense if I use int A equal to 5, int B equal to 6, because that A and B can also store strings. It can also store characters, it can store booleans, right? So when you use variable like num1, right? Number one or number two, all those stuff, it actually makes sense, okay? Then good variable names, we have calculate average, number of students. Maybe you are asked to write a method that calculates or finds the number of students, or maybe calculates an average, right? So this is a method name which is valid. Number of students, this is a valid variable name. So bad is CALC, because in your mind you'd be like, CALC is calculate, right? Your method name, you decide to give your method name CALC. It doesn't make sense, right? So that's it. All right, so single responsibility principle, right? So in a nutshell, what this is trying to do is, fine, we all have the knowledge of method, what it does. You are asked to write a method that adds the number. I'm going to be using addition, this example a lot. You're asked to write a method that adds the number, right? So single responsibility principle states that the method you create, right, should do one thing. It should do one thing. That's what it means. It shouldn't do more than one thing. So what do I mean? So if I have a method that adds to number, I should not I should not in that same method try to subtract two numbers. Do you get? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it means one method for one thing, right? Each method should have one and only one reason to change, not multiple reasons, right? So the benefit of it is that it's easier to understand, it's easier to test, easier to reuse, easier to fix. Don't bother about easier to test, reuse, and fix. As you practice, you get to understand this clearer, right? So bad example of too many responsibility could be, so an example was there is a method of process user data, right? So inside this process user data method, there is an implementation for loading the data, right? There's another implementation for validating the data to check if it is valid or not. There's another implementation for saving the data, and there is another implementation for printing the results. So imagine having all of this implementation just in this process user data. It doesn't follow the single responsibility principle. So it states that if something like this will occur, it is best to create a method that handles each of them. So if I'm having load data, I can decide to create a method called load data. Then inside the load data method, I'll have all the implementations there. For validate data, I can decide to create another method called validate data, then have all the implementations there. Then same thing with the save data and print confirmation. So by doing that, we're actually following single responsibility principle that states one method should do one thing. Is anyone confused? Is anyone confused? Are we good? Hello, are we good?
Yes, we're good.
All right, thank you. Great. So let's go to the next. All right, so about this, I decided not to talk about this today, right? Because it might sound strange. You won't appreciate this until we go into OOP. So when we go into OOP, we'll talk about this method comment and what it does. Okay? All right, any question before we go into our demo? All right, no question. So I'm going to go into my demo now. Let me open my Visual Studio. You guys don't want to be asking me question, no? Eh? Sure. By next week, we will know. Next week I will
It's
suffer.
bad.
Eh? Sorry,
And it's
sorry,
so
sorry.
bad.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. All right. Okay, let me share this part. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Can you see my VS Code, my Visual Studio?
Yes.
All right,
Yes, sir.
thanks. So this is what we'll be doing. Method overloading the different number of parameters. So I'm going to be illustrating what I talked about. Okay. So what does it mean when they say method overloading? What does it mean, right? So we have a method, we can have a method that adds two numbers. Okay. Maybe you are asked to write a program that adds two whole numbers and maybe another program that adds numbers that are decimal, right? So how do we do that now? So this is it. Static. Since this is adding two numbers, so it means I'm going to use data type what? If I want to return numbers that in whole number, what data type will I use?
Integer.
All right, so static int, then the name of the variable a, then I have the parameters int a, right? Or int num1, int num2, right? So return num1 plus num2. Who is confused? Talk now. Is anyone confused? Going? Going? Okay, nobody wants to ask. All right. And it seems we are familiar with this as well. So, okay, we will not ask. I know who to ask. The gift, do you understand what I did?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you understood what I did.
Yes, sir.
All right. What is this doing?
It's going to add the two number into one plus num one plus num two.
Okay. All right.
That's
Thank you. All right. So this is actually um returning whole numbers, right? Whole numbers. So what if I want to also have another function, but this time around it should return decimal numbers? How do I do that? Return, and I must use the same method name. Return decimal numbers. Okay. So what if let me duplicate this first. Duplicate that. Yeah. Now it's flagging an error saying, let's check the error, what's it's saying. a local variable or function name add is already defined in this scope. Now, this scope now, what is this scope called? What is the name of this function called? This scope that we are in, this scope, what is it called? What's the name of the scope or the function that we are currently in, where we are doing all this stuff, all this implementation? What's it called?
And the
They
global
gift.
scope.
I know it's a global scope, but what's the name of the function? I don't.
Main.
Yeah, thank you. Main, that is the main function, exactly. So whatever we are doing is the main function, okay? Now, if you check the error, it's saying we have to know how to read errors, right? Have the ability and learn how to read errors, which will help in debugging. So first error says a local variable or function name add, now its function name, is already defined in this main scope, in this scope. And what is that? What are they? This add. They are the same. The same data type, the same return value, int, they are the same. The same parameter numbers. We have two here, they are the same, right? But what will make it different is if I use this. If I go ahead and use this, right? Then call it maybe int num3, maybe int num3. Let's see what happens. All right, it's something off now. This shouldn't be so. A local function add is declared but never used. Okay, let's try something first. Add. Except they have worked on the update. Let me see. 2, 3. All right. A local variable or function named add is already defined in this scope. It's already defined in this scope. There's something wrong somewhere. Let me see. Okay. Let me try it again. Static and double add. Static double add. Okay. A and B. C string. Return this. Return this now. My C# is my Visual Studio is misbehaving.
I don't know. Does it feel like you have to like put the methods in the class first before it
I
considers
think
it as
so.
a
Yeah, I think so because since this is the main function, right?
mm,
Yeah, I think so because the main function, because I know before it was actually allowing this, a local variable or function name add is already defined in this scope. A local function, this is already this. So I'm wondering why? Okay, let me try something first. Sorry, guys. Let me try something. Static int. Let's say add, right? So inside this, I can have void sum, right? I can have void sum, and if I have int sum, in some return 3. Probably because I'm actually inside the main. If that's the case, all right. It's somehow weird. Wait. Sorry, guys. This C# and their upgrade. Let me try something. Well, you know what? Let me just do other stuff, right? I'll come back to this later because I'm wondering why C# is not allowing this. It's just same with that switch. When we talked about that switch, I needed not to use break. So they were forcing me to use break. But I know back then, if you don't use break, it will allow you so that when you run the code, you see the output. So some of these features now that are doing this, right? So I'll come to this later, right? Hope we are good. Trying to figure out why that is not working. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah. I'll come to that later, okay? I'll come to this method overloading later, right? Maybe in our next class when we enter OOP. Okay. So let's go ahead to different number. Like I was saying, different number of parameters. Oh God. Ooh, the noise, please. This noise. Add the gift. Later you will say you are confused though. All right. The method overloading, I don't know, the C# latest feature is preventing me from trying that out. So I will try and figure out that. So maybe in the next class, I will treat that. Okay. So let's go into scope, variable scope and all. All right. Variable scope. All right. So variable scope, what does this mean? What does this mean now? I have a method. I'm going to write two methods. Static int, then maybe add, open bracket, it takes two numbers, int num1, int num2. Then I have a variable. Let me say I want to create a variable int value1, int value1 is equal to num1, then int value2 is equal to num2 is equal to num2. Then at the end, I return value1 plus value value2, value1 plus value2. Okay. Then I also have same method. Let me use different. Let me try this if it will work safe. I'm wondering why it's not working. BL double. It's not working. Don't worry. Let's progress. So I have another method called sum equal to this, right? Equal to this. Now, when we talk of local and global, right? Local and global, let me name this 3 and name this 4, right? Name this 3, name this 4. So if I want to, if I want to console, if I want to console value 1 here, if I want to console value 1, this value, this variable that is in another method, if I want to print it in this sum method, Who will tell me why it is not going to work? Anyways, if I hover on it now, it's telling me the name value1 does not exist in the current context. It does not exist here. So who is going to tell me why it's not going to work? I'm trying to access this, print out the value of this value1 in method sum, right? So who will tell me why it's not going to work? All right, Ede Gift, go ahead. Hello?
Yeah, okay, sir. And because the variable that you declare, there are two variables, num1 and num2. So but then you are calling only one. So it's not complaining that the variable declared is true.
Not really. Not really. Like this is value1. Value1 variable is in add method, right? I want to call value1 in some method and it's not working. Why? Why?
It's because you are
Okay.
calling another value that is in another method.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, similarly. Okay. Marianne, go ahead.
Okay, so it's because it's not within that scope.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Value one is not within the scope. It is in another scope. And what is the value? What's the name given for this value1? Right? Is it local or global? So is it local or a global
Local.
variable? Value1. Why is value1 a local variable?
Because it was declared within
Within the add
a
method,
method.
right?
Yes.
Simple. That's what I was looking for. Gift, you like saying plenty things, so but it's fine, yeah? But you get it now, right? Gift, do you understand it now? Gift.
Yes.
I don't to call gift tire. No run from
Yes.
this class, so all right, thank you. So because value1 is in another scope, that is why I can access it. But what if I declared a variable outside, maybe a string word equal to very good. String word equals to very good. And I want to log console write line. That here, will it work? What did they do C# now? What's really happening now? Hey, seems something is wrong, go. I don't know why this is flagging. I don't know whether it's because, like, I don't get it. I don't know what's wrong with this latest version. A static local function cannot contain a reference to a word. Okay. All right, let me do this. Let me remove the static. Okay, I think I know why. All right, I think I know why. Great. All right, I think I know why now. And I think I know why the other ones were not working. So let me go back to the other ones first to explain it. Okay. All right. Wow, this C#, eh? All right. It's still telling me this add is declared but never used. It's already defined in this scope. can be made static. Let me see. I'm just trying to figure out why that is. Same thing. It's latest version. I'll come to that later. Sure. All right. So it was the error was that when trying to this is a static function, right? This is a static method. When trying to access a global variable, C# is flagging the error of saying this method is static. That is why I cannot access it. That's why it's good to read errors, right? A static local function cannot contain reference to a global, which is the word outside, right? Sorry about that. So that is why I really don't want to explain what the static does until we go into OOP, right? So for now, just know that when you're trying to access a global or calling a global variable within a static method, you get an error, right? That's why I had to remove the static from there. Are we good? Hello? Hello?
So we can hear you.
Okay. So many upgrading. That's why. So the reason why this is working is because word is a global variable. That's why I can access it here. So what if I try to access the same thing here? This console right line word, if I want to access the same thing here, will it work? Header gift, is it going to work?
Yes.
It's going to work. Why?
Yes.
Why will it work? Why is it going to work? Why will it work? Because gift, I won't be calling your name again. Oh. You are slacking. Oh. Marian Uber, tell me why it's going to work.
So which one?
If I try to access this, yeah, this is method, add method. If I want to access this same stuff here, I'm asking, will it work? Will it not work? If I want to access word in this method, is it going to work?
Yes, it's going to work.
Why?
Because will I say like it's outside it.
It's a
The
global
variable
now,
is
right? It's a global
yes,
variable.
the
So that
global
is why. So
variable
it's available
for
for
those
all the
methods.
methods, yeah, to use and exactly. Yeah, thank you. Now there's something I forgot to do, yeah, which is also very important. So I have let's say I have string word equal to hello, right? Word. I don't think I talked about reinitialization, did I? Hi, word equal to nice. Okay, this is another important concept you should know because it's somehow tricky, right? Word. So what do you think the output is going to be? Header gift. I don't want to ask Deligwe Marian. What
Sir,
do you think?
come
What will be
again.
the result? I
The
have
results.
I have this tree stuff. I declared and initialized the variable word equals to hello. Then I reinitialized this into this, and I also reinitialized this again to nice. So what will be the final output? Will it be hello, hi, or nice?
Hello.
Thank God I had to bring this up. Oh. Why do you think it's hello?
Because
All right, all right, all right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't worry, I get it, I understand. Deligwe, what will be the output?
I think nice, nice, nice.
Ah, you think it's nice?
No, it's nice. It's nice. It's not like I think.
You are not sure.
It's nice.
Okay, let me run it and see now. Let me run it and see first. Let me run it first. All right, can you see my console? I doubt
No.
seeing it. All right, let me share that. Okay. Okay. We have the console here. So I have nice. Can we see it now?
yes, sir.
Great. So the reason why it's that is because it's just like saying, what example will I use? My friend is gift, right? Maybe this year. Okay, last year my friend is gift now. This year now, I want to change now. My friend is now Deligwe, right? So if someone asks, who is Gideon's friend currently? Who is Gideon's friend? Is it gift or Deligwe? Eh?
Deligwe.
Because that's the current updated version, right? So that works
Yes.
same way with here. If I had the first value for word hello, then I reinitialize this to high and I did it again to nice. It is actually taking the latest updated value for the variable word. That is how it works. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Great. So I wanted to explain that so that when we see something like that in OOP, it will not be strange. I'm supposed to cover that. All right, so let's do something. I don't know. I was supposed to talk more on method overloading, and I don't know why C Sharp, this Visual Studio, is stopping me from doing that. I'll check that out after the class. Okay, so single responsibility principle. How does it work? Single responsibility principle. So this is what I mean. Okay. All right, so I'm going to write a method now. Okay. Static void. Maybe I have a method called process order, which is taking the item. Maybe it's taking the item. Think item, the item name, then it's taking the quantity, right? It's taking the item name and the quantity. Okay. Now, inside this process order, right, I have implementation for, inside this method, I have implementation for, I have implementation for loading the inventory, right? Loading the inventory, maybe loading inventory and all, right? So the responsibility for this one is doing what? I can say responsibility one is actually doing what? Inventory, right? Inventory loading. Okay. Now I have the another implementation that is going to I have another implementation that is actually doing this. You will not appreciate. So when we go into OOP, everything will be very clear. We have another implementation that is validating validating payment, right? So after you load it, you have to validate payment. So we have another responsibility that is doing what? Payment validation, right? Then we can have another implementation for updating the database, right? After you upload the items, you know, in normal supermarket scenario, you load the items, you validate payments, and you save it to the database, right? To keep record of it. So this is actually handling database flow, right? Database flow. Now, I want to send the information to the manager, right? After saving it, I need to send the information to the manager to notify the manager that this item has been added to the stock and all. So sending the information, right? Sending the information responsibility for, right? Email, that is email. So single responsibility principle states that one method should do one thing, right? Are we following? Hello? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. We can hear you now.
All right, thanks. You were not hearing me before.
I was hearing you. I'm having a network issue, right?
Okay, all right, thanks. So
But yes,
there is any, all right, thank you. So there is a reason for this, right? There's a reason for why this principle is important. The reason is it actually works, right? If you write the implementation and all, it will work, it will give you the right output and all. But imagine having this implementation loading inventory that will take over, maybe this to load inventory now, you have to write over 20, 30 lines of code like this. So what do I mean? Maybe lines of code, maybe let me just do this so that you see things for yourself and you appreciate why this is important. Okay, I know what to do. I'll do it this way. Let's assume the implementation for this loading inventory is taking this line, right? Then the implementation for validation is taking this line. The implementation for database flow is taking this line of code. And finally, to send email is taking this line of code. Now tell me, how would you feel if you saw someone writing this? It works, so if you run the code, if you execute, it's going to work fine. But tell me the disadvantage of this now. Who can tell me? Hello? Hello, hi,
I
hello,
think
hi. Yeah, go ahead.
I think one of them is that maybe if you want to change something in one, you have to like change it in many places. I think.
Really? Change it in many places? Not really, because fine, if I want to change it in one, maybe the issue, maybe there was a bug that has to do with that has to do with the payment validation logic, right? I would have to come into this function, right? Then go straight to this and change it now, right? Me changing this is not going to affect this one. It's not going to affect this one. It's not going to affect this one. Do you get?
Wait, sorry, let me just ask this question.
All right.
This whole responsibility, 1, 2, 3, 4, like, are they different things or you're
There are
just
different implementations. Like it's just like saying I have this is calculate, right? I have a function called calculation. That is inside this calculate function. I'm having implementation for add. I'm having implementation for subtraction. I'm having
okay? Repeating it does not
implementation
mean
for
it's just an example you're giving now. It's not like you're repeating.
no, it's just an example. Yes, yes.
Okay.
So different things in one method. That's what I'm trying to illustrate, which shouldn't be so, right?
Mm.
So the reason being is if there is an issue in database logic, right? I have to go to this method and try to fix the code, right? If there's an issue in email, I have to go to this same method and fix the code. Like I'm fixing so many things. Like this method is doing more than one, is handling more than one responsibilities, right? It's handling loading, payments, database. And if you check in the real scenario, when you're trying to write implementation for database logic, it is very, very, very long. So imagine having that logic inside just this method. It doesn't make sense now, right? So single responsibility states one responsibility for one method name, right? So if we have something like this, the best approach is to do what? Create a method, call it what? Load inventory. That was what I was saying. Create a method, call it what? Static, maybe void load inventory. So the reason for this is that only logic pertaining to loading inventory will be here. Only logic, only inventory logic will be here. Do you get? Now, if I want to, same thing applies to this. I want to handle payment validation. Same flow. Create another method that will take care of that. But what did I do again? Validation. Do you get it? The same applies to the others. So that in case I want to go and fix something, means I just come here, fix just one thing and go. Do you get it? Hello? The
Yeah.
gift, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, gift.
Okay, so my question is that, like you said, that creating different method like we have
Mm-hmm.
here now, then
Mm-hmm.
this inventory now, like this loading inventory, is it going to be in that method that you created for it separately?
Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Like this loading inventory now. This
Yes.
loading inventory.
Yeah.
Everything here will be just for this loading inventory. Yeah.
Okay.
Finish.
So that means you are not going to call the name of the method inside the main
I
static void.
just knew someone is going to ask this. Not really, not really, not really, not really.
Okay.
But yes, yes, we can have instances where we need to call the method there. But what I'm saying is one thing with programming is this, right? The first rule is write the code, let it work, right? You can use the bad way, like whatever, like make sure it works. That's first rule. It should work. Second rule is after it has worked, second rule has to state go back and refactor, right? You have made it work. Now go back to refactor means it's possible to write it in a very bad way. You know, there are different ways to achieving the same result. You can use best practice to achieve the result. You can also use bad practice to achieve the same result, right? So what is going to tell is actually the performance, right? The performance. If you use bad practice in writing the code, you will notice that it gives you the output of it. The performance of the code you have written is not going to give you the best performance because you used a bad approach to it. Meanwhile, if you use the best practice in writing a code, it gives you the best performance, right? So one thing in programming is let it work. After it's working, now you go back to refactor it to make sure you get the best performance for that logic and execution. Do you get it? So this is the first approach. I'm making it work. It's giving me the right output. Now I'm going back to refactor it. I'm like, this line of code is much and it's doing so many things. It is doing this, it is doing this, it is doing this, it is doing this, right? So why not create a separate method that does each of them so that if outside of them, maybe I want to communicate with the database, all I'll be doing is what? I'll just be calling. Maybe I want to load inventory. All I just need to be doing is I just need to call load inventory. I need to do the magic outside. That's the essence. If I want to talk to database, I just need to call the function that handles database. Do you get outside? Like this thing is doing so many things. What you are saying is if we can have this load inventory, right? We can have this load inventory, right? This is what you are saying. But even if we put all of them here, it's still doing different, it's still having different responsibility. Do you get?
Yes.
Don't worry, it's you might not get it. It's when we go into OOP, right? Object-oriented programming. That's when you really appreciate this a lot. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I wonder why we are few. What happened to Samuel and others? What happened to them? Why are we just three? Anyways, it's fine. It's fine. Any question? Hello, any question?
Yes, sir.
Marianuba, Deligwe, Gifts. Any question? Are we good?
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
All right. Deligwe, are we good?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Seems there is no question. Now we have come to the end of that class. So
So
by
I have a
next week.
question,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
but
Please,
it's
I was begging for
based.
questions. Thank you.
So it's not based on our today's class.
Okay, it's not based on
Okay.
today's class.
Yeah,
Yeah, fine.
about that.
Let me end the recording
Oh,
so
sure.
that it will not. All right. Stop recording.